morning students. Dear students, today we are going to discussing something about 8th standard social science unit called Ancient Civilizations of the World. 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 So under that, today, as a subunit, we are going to discussing the Egyptian civilization about the Egyptian civilization. So this is the thing that today we are going to discuss. Dear students, many other civilizations flourished in the various parts of the world. At the time of our India's Indus Valley civilization. During the time of our Indian Indus Valley civilization, at the same time there are so many civilizations flourished across the world. We can see the Egyptian civilization, Mesopotamian civilization and Chinese civilization in Asia and African continents. So among them, number one is the Egyptian civilization. See, dear students, generally all civilizations have organized in the river plains. The Egyptian civilization could take birth due to the presence of the river Nile. So, our Egyptian civilization could take birth to the presence of the river Nile. River Nile. It could take birth in the presence of river Nile. So the relics obtained here proclaim the grandeur of Egypt. Huge pyramids, sculptures, temples, and so many inscriptions in these temples tells us a lot of about Egyptian culture and history. Egyptian culture and history. All the relics obtained here, beside the river of Nile, where we obtained that there are so many relics. They are proclaimed here the grandeur of Egypt. Huge pyramids, sculptures, huge pyramids, sculptures and temples, and the inscriptions in these temples, inscriptions in these temples. See, dear students, these are all the several grandeur of Egyptian civilization, and these are tells about the history and culture of Egyptian civilization. History and culture of Egyptian civilization. See, dear students, generally that Egyptian civilization has given so many contributions to the world. So now we should learn something about the contributions. The contributions of Egyptian civilization. The contributions. What are the contributions of Egyptian civilization? From Egyptian civilization, we had received so many contributions. Among them, Egyptians were expert farmers. They are expert farmers. Expert farmers. And also, they knew lot about irrigation system. They know irrigation system. Irrigation system. They have know the art of irrigation system, and also they had built beautiful temples. They had built beautiful temples. Beautiful temples. They had built beautiful temples. And also they invented the calendar. They invented calendar. They invented calendar. And also which has helped the calendar, which has helped us to measure time. More than anything else, they had mastered the art of writing. They had mastered the art of writing. They had mastered the art of writing. And it was a symbolic language. They had used a symbolic language. It consists of small drawings. It is called hieroglyphics. Hieroglyphics. This is called as sacred art. Sacred art. So it is in the form of small drawings. It is in the form of small drawings. In the form of small drawing, and it was a symbolic language. It was a symbolic language. See, these are all considered as the contributions of the Egyptian civilization. So Egyptians are so many contributions. Among them, they were well versed expert farmers, and Egyptians, they had to know irrigation system, and they had to build beautiful temples in Egypt, and they had invented calendar, which is used for measure of time, and they had mastered in the art of writing. They used a symbolic language, small drawings, a type of writing, that is sacred writing, called hieroglyphics. See, dear students, these are all the several contributions of Egyptians. Okay, dear students, after the completion of introduction of Egyptian civilization and their contributions, now we will move into the Nile Valley of Egyptian civilization. The Nile Valley. Nile Valley. The Nile Valley. See, dear students, every rainy season, the Nile River could transform the Nile Valley into a huge lake, during the rainy season. Rainy season. It converted as lake. And after the valley dried up in summer. In summer, dried up. In rain, converted as lake, and in summer, it converted as dried up. So, a fertile layer clay soil would form the grazing field and neighboring agricultural lands. The work that would need the labor of hundreds of people was being done by the kind river alone. This fertile land provided food for the population of the first town in the area. Not all agricultural reasons were in the valley. Hence, those small canals and wells, they were responsible for the development of a complex system of irrigation throughout the land. A complex system of irrigation throughout the land during the Egyptian civilization. The prosperous, wealthy Egyptian peasants and citizens during free time. The prosperous, wealthy Egyptian peasants and citizens during the leisure time. During their leisure time, they are used their free time for the work of, their leisure engaged themselves in the creation of artistic work. Leisure period. They are engaged in artistic. During the leisure period, engaged themselves in the creation of artistic works. Their role of rest was created to interrupt nature and explain it. The role of priests was created to interrupt nature and explain it. The priests were scholars and shouldered the responsibility of protecting written documents. Their responsibility is to protecting returnable documents. They believed in life after death. And also they had to give an account of his deeds on earth to Osiris. In earth, all accounts provided to the god called Osiris. So they believed that in life after death. That's why their account of his deeds on earth to Osiris. In the powerful god of life and death, the priest considered that life on the earth was temporary and was needed only to prepare for the next life. Thus, the whole of Nile Valley was reserved for the dead. The dead body would be simmered with various chemicals. The dead body would simmered with various chemicals. Dead body skimmers with various chemicals. The dead body skimmers with various chemicals and wrapped with a white cloth, wrapped with a thin cloth, and wrapped with thin cloth, wrapped with thin cloth. The entire body was in this way preserved. The body protectors was called as mummy. This is what they call mummy. So the dead body skimmers with various chemicals and wrapped with thin cloth. Then it would be kept in specially designed coffin. So that is what they call mummy. So in this way, the grave was considered the true place for an Egyptian. Here all around the dead body, items needed for daily use and small dolls, cook materials and barber materials would be kept to fulfill all future needs. So this is the system where we observe during the period of Egyptian civilization. And later on, in the beginning, graves were created by carving in the rocks in the hills. As the Egyptians moved to north, they had to construct graves in the desert itself. Tall towers were built on these graves using huge blocks of stones in order to protect the central internal sleep of the dead. King and wealthy people lived with each other, built taller and taller towers. The Greeks called these structures pyramids. See, the Greeks called taller and taller structures called as pyramids. The kings of Egypt called pharaohs. It means pharaohs. The kings of Egypt. They were called as pharaohs. Pharaohs. Pharaohs called the kings of Egypt. Here, Pharaoh means a person. Who lives in a place of house. The peasants who had accepted the rule of powerful Osiris. So, now accepted the rule of pharaohs too. They are called kings of Egypt. So after an independent, prosperous life for 20 centuries, prosperous life of 20 centuries, Egyptians was ruled over by an Arabian shepherd tribe called Hyksos, which attacked it and after defeating it ruled for 500 years. Ruled for 500 years. Ruled for 500 years. And they looted the wealth of the natives and hence did not become popular. The Jews who came wandering through the deserts in search of shelter were also hated in the people of Egypt. By cooperating with the foreign rule, the Jews even assisted them in collecting taxes and administration. In 1700 BC, the people of Thebes rose in revolt against the foreigners. After a prolonged conflict, they succeeded in the driving Hyksos out of their country. Egypt became free once again. After 1,000 years, it came under the rule of Sardanapals of Assyria. The Persian Emperor Cambyses occupied Egypt in the 6th century BCE. Alexander occupied Persia in the 4th century BCE. Egypt became a province of Macedonia. One of Alexander's military generals declared himself the king of Egypt. Was established the dynasty of the Ptolemy. And he founded the city of Alexandria. At last came the Romans in 39 BC. The last Egyptian queen, her name Cleopatra. Last queen of Egypt. The last queen of Egypt, her name called Cleopatra. She tried her best to save her country. Our country. And later on, it was said that the Romans feared her beauty more than her troops. And troops of conquerors. However, in 30 BCE, Caesar's successor is a son-in-law, Augustus. His name Augustus did not succumb to her beauty like his father-in-law, but defeated her army. Though he spared her life when he planned to carry her away along with the other spoils of the battle. Cleopatra consumed poison and ended her life. This is very tragic. And ended her life. From then onwards, Egypt became a province of Rome. death of Cleopatra, consuming the poison, our country became a part and parcel of the Roman dynasty. Part and parcel of the Roman dynasty. See, in this way, the Egyptian civilization, several aspects are learned today's class. Dear students, regarding the Egyptian civilization, have any doubts, please ask me. Okay, otherwise I am going to once again repeat headlines of this lesson. Okay, see, the Egyptian civilization is one of the ancient civilization. It took birth on the river presence of Nile, and their civilization grandeur because of huge pyramids, sculptures, temples, inscriptions, and in these temples, all these things, the Egyptian history and culture flourished. Egyptians history and culture became a very famous. And what are their contributions? The Egyptian contributions are mainly considered as they were well versed expert farmers. They had to know irrigation system scientifically, and they had built beautiful temples, and they had invented calendar which is used for measuring the time, and they were mastered in the art of writing. That writing style is called as hieroglyphics. It means sacred art. It is in the form of small drawings and a symbolic language. See, all these are all considered as the contributions of Egyptian civilizations. Contributions of Egyptian civilization. Then the Nile Valley. See, the Nile Valley during the rainy season, because of heavy rain, it converted as lake. And during the summer, it dried up because it created clay and fertile soil for the agriculture purposes. Because they are well versed expert farmers also. And during the leisure period, Egyptians are doing the artistic work, and they are believed, and all the earth details and accounts of their lives submitted to god Osiris. So Osiris, the birth and death god, they had considered like that. And later on, the dead body, schemers with various chemicals and wrapped with thin cloth and put it in specially made coffin, that body called as mummy. That body called as mummy. And they are going to build beautiful pyramids and kept that bodies inside of the pyramids. That tall and taller structures called as pyramids. That Egyptian kings are called as pharaohs. Here pharaoh means who living in the big house. So they are called as pharaohs. Cleopatra was the last queen of Egypt civilization. See, these are all the several aspects of Egyptian civilization. And finally, Egypt, after the death of Cleopatra, consuming the poison, she was died. After the death of Cleopatra, the Egyptian dynasty merged into Roman dynasty, and later Egypt is part and parcel of the Rome Empire. See, these are all the several aspects of one of the ancient civilization called Egyptian civilization. Okay, dear students, these are all the aspects of If you have any doubts, ask me. Okay, otherwise I am stopped here. Remaining things will be discussed on tomorrow's class. Thank you. Thank you, Ananda. Okay, dear students, please write down all those things in your notebooks.